reflected on his first 100 days in office when he addressed the media in Pretoria.
As we know that corruption is a problem, it's one of our priorities. We managed to arrest 51 members of our own, of which 12 have been discharged. And out of that, 5 is for corruption, and then 2 is for fraud, 1 is for murder, 1 is for rape. So we are continuing with these strides in ensuring that the communities are and they feel safe.
The top story this hour, the DA's Ellen Windey has been elected as the Premier of the Western Cape for a second term. Time now for The Full Circle. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemele.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Lights, camera, scalpel. Every second counts, and every cut, every thought, every action is critical. Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Are you ready to empower yourself with an accredited tertiary qualification? Stadio Higher Education's distance learning programs will set you up for success. Whether you're balancing work and family or you're a school leaver who must work to support yourself and your studies, Stadio offers access to high-quality, affordable qualifications in law, teacher education, commerce, admin and management, policing, and more. Mid-year applications are now open. Visit stadio.ac.za and register today. Stadio, a new vision in higher education.
Do you remember the cool times of Sports Buzz?
Coming up on Sports
Buzz used to be the go-to young people sports show in Mzansi Africa. The multi-sport award-winning youth magazine show. A great platform that profiled young athletes and teams. The glory days of Sports Buzz are back in a newly revamped youth sports show with a wow vibe. Goats like us. Yeah, goats. Greatest of all time. Experience youth excellence in sport, profiling of active athletes and teams, latest news in the world of youth sport, the active voice of school sport, and promoting a healthy lifestyle among the youth. Do not miss out on Goats Like Us. Your front row seat awaits you every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag Goats, greatest of all time. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
I wake up, I see you as you leave. I feel it, I see it as you leave. When we kiss, I went deep, but you're far away. Be my everything, treated me like I was a queen. What spell did it cast on me? Or was it a make-believe? You say, girl, never be afraid of ever loving me. Those words I hung on to. Oh God, I was a fool. You became my bad habit, keeping up appearances so you could notice. When you suddenly picked the things and left the keys, That's crazy. Moti Sara mi folua go show Iwa nika sha 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 Iwa nika sha
It is Asa coming through with Bibanke is the name of this particular one, coming from her debut album, which also featured some of her commercial hits, the likes of Jayla, of course, doing quite well there, this particular album. It's just gone 10 past 3 o'clock on this fine afternoon. It's a fine Thursday afternoon as we edge closer to the end of the week, and of course, one step closer to hopefully finalizing on all those coalition conversations that have now seemingly continued in Cape Town as all the respective parties gather there in preparation of the events that are going to be taking place tomorrow. The DA already having sworn in the Western Cape Premier today. Alan Winde coming back for a second term, no surprises there. The rest of the state of the politics in the country remains a mystery to us, and hopefully by tomorrow we'll know exactly what is happening everywhere. But we've got lots of show coming your way today, as we keep the clock running on our side. We're going to be talking to a person who's quite versed in as far as systems go. He's a partner at BDO South African, head of financial services. And today, though, he's going to be talking to us about voting models and how the South African voting system is regarded as being quite resilient and innovative. And we'll find out more as to why it ticks those particular boxes. Also coming up, stages, pages, screens, and more. We're looking at the production The Sleeping Beauty, which is going to be staged at the Joburg Theatre. And it's featuring quite the stellar cast of ballerinas. Indeed, we'll find out more about that in a moment from the Joburg Ballet's CEO. On the other side of 2 o'clock, for our legal guide, we are taking a look at bylaws and what to do when a business opens next door to you. It's almost as though my producers were in my mind as I was driving through my neighborhood yesterday and noted the many businesses that are now lining all the main roads and the side roads. And we'll have a conversation about that because I think it also speaks to zoning, right? And who's keeping a watchful eye on that, considering also just the constant changing of the guards in some of our cities. I'm sure things like zoning laws and all these bylaws kind of fall to the wayside. Our lines are open. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, and 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. Listen, I also want to find out from you, based on your recent voting experience, based on the voting and the election day that we've just had, do you think that South Africa is actually ready to go fully electronic? Or do you have some kind of reservation about what that would mean? Give us a shout on WhatsApp. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. You're more than welcome to send through some WhatsApp voice notes. For now, though, let's take a quick break and then we'll come right back.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
As we get into the conversation with Nevelyn Moodley, who's a partner at BDO South Africa and head of financial services. So in a world where electronic integrity is under constant scrutiny, our voting system here stands as a beacon of hope, he says, notably outperforming that of first world countries such as the United States in several key areas. And he goes on to say that, resilience in as far as these systems are concerned is critical, especially in times when democratic processes face unprecedented challenges. So we thought we'd invite him on the show for him to share his thoughts with us a little bit further. How are you doing, Nevelyn? You good?
I'm good, and yourself? Good afternoon, Bridget, to you and your listeners, and I'm very well, thank you, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion with you today.
Thank you so much for making the time. Okay, let's start right there. You say that notably our voting system outperforms that of first world countries like the US in several key areas. Expand for us how so, and what makes the system better?
So an interesting stat for your listeners. I think 25% of all countries across the world will go through a change of leadership over the next 2 years. So I think the world as we know it is going to change fundamentally, but that's given us a chance to look at voting systems across.
Nevelyn, did we lose connection? I think we lost connection. We've been struggling with connection since yesterday. We're not quite sure what's going on, if it's on our end or if it's connection in the various regions that our guests are. Maybe this will be a good time to take a break, and then hopefully when we come back on the other side, we would have gotten him back on the line.
Municipal services play a vital role in keeping our city safe, clean, and functional. By paying for municipal services like your water bill, you're investing in the future of the city of Johannesburg's water supply. Paying for your services is not just a transaction, but a commitment to the sustainability of your community. Let's continue to pave the way for a brighter tomorrow, one payment at a time. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
Channel your inner traveler on Top Travel this Saturday night at 8:30 on S3 as we scuba dive the kelp forests off the Cape Peninsula and kayak with the local penguins. Book into the beachfront suites of any couple's dream, take flight from Signal Hill, land just in time for lunch at Chef's Warehouse, and enjoy the classic Cape Town experience. That's Top Travel this Saturday night at 8:30. Repeat Sunday at 1 p.m. on S3.
June is Environment Month, and during the month we observe World Environment Day on the 5th of June, World Oceans Day on the 8th of June, and Drought and Desertification Day on the 19th of June. Land resources such as soil, water, and biodiversity provide the foundation for the wealth of our societies and economies, and they meet the growing needs and desires for food, water, fuel, and other raw materials that shape the livelihoods as well as the lifestyles of millions of people. Environment Month gives us the opportunity to raise awareness and mobilize for action to protect the environment. And so we encourage all South Africans to scale up their efforts that will significantly reduce negative impacts on our environment. This message is brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. And for more information, you can visit www.dffe.gov.za.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Well, hopefully, technology will hold up now as we have this conversation. Nevlin Woodley is back. Apologies for that. We were just getting into it in as far as, pointing out that our system outperforms that of first world countries like the US. And we wondered how so, in the sense of what makes the system better.
Thank you, Bridget. So if I can just expand based on where I was, I'm just going to just give a brief recap.
Sure.
So effectively, in the US system as we have it at the moment, they are accepting postal votes. And in South Africa, we obviously don't accept postal votes, but it's wide open for manipulation. Accepting postal votes in this day and age is really, really a backward way of looking at it. And the ultimate reason for that is there's no digital identity behind the people. So the claims being made by the Republicans in the US at the moment is that these postal votes are actually being filled in by illegal immigrants who've infiltrated the US, which are effectively manipulating the voting results. So you come back to South Africa and you look at the fact that we do not accept postal votes. Actually, if you benchmark the two systems, our system is stronger. Is our system the best? Definitely not. There's lots of room for improvement, which we can talk about. But I just found that quite interesting. And interestingly, through our studies, we found that third world countries are actually doing voting better than first world countries. And one of the countries that I want to highlight to you is India as an example, where they've recently voted. They've gone through an election right now, and they've got such a strong digital identity framework across the country. So what that means is you can lock a person's identity to a device, so you can trust if that person is voting, it is actually that person that is voting. And it's something that South Africa needs to get better at in terms of our digital identity infrastructure, which might one day open up online voting for us, where we could actually trust the identity of the people that are voting. There are pros and cons, but I think we're definitely on the right track as a nation.
So, Nevlin, I know that, the conversation around electronic voting has been one that's been recurring in South Africa probably for the last 2 election cycles. And they are experts and quite renowned experts in the field of election voting systems in the country and on the continent that have often cautioned on the use or rather cautioned on going fully electronic, and they've cited, various reasons. What would you put forward as the strong case towards going electronic, and would it be fully digitized or fully electronic? Or just perhaps an integration of some kind of electronic systems at various stages of voting?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Bridget. So, going full digital is still open to manipulation. If you look at the cybersecurity stats, so if you look at our banks as an example, as the sort of primary, they've got digital channels as sort of their primary go-to-market, there is a high amount of cyber fraud that's taking part. So if I have to relate that back to voting, people could manipulate people to log in and put votes that they wanted to with the gun to their head effectively. And those are risks that no matter how digitized or how technologically advanced, you cannot mitigate them. However, I think there are areas in our current voting process that can be improved on. So even if we keep the stations and don't go to a fully electronic vote, I just looked at the way. So from my experience walking through the station, seeing people go through with rulers, finding me on the voting roll, I was like, no, we are in 2024. We can't have people going through with rulers trying to find people. And then the second thing was it came to the counting. There were people manually counting the results at the stations. I think the nice control was all the party agents were making sure that it was being captured correctly. But a simple optical character recognition solution, as an example, could actually just process all of the votes, similar to how a casino reads the money that's put into the machines and then tells you what the note is. A solution like that, which has been around for a while, could actually digitize the counting process. Now, I know you're probably going to ask me next about blockchain technology. I'm personally a massive fan of blockchain technology.
Yeah.
However, I must caution everyone. So blockchain technology theoretically will create a lot of transparency, but when you look at sort of the entire populace of South Africa, it's quite a complicated technology for the average person on the street to understand how it creates transparency. So for a technology person like myself, it makes a lot of sense. But I think we've got a bit of a distance to walk through. So it will achieve the objectives. But I think the average person on the street, if you had to tell them, listen, the blockchain was manipulated, they would probably believe it. So I think we've still got a path to walk. I'm not a fan on the election world to us to go through a completely digitally enabled process just because of the risk of manipulation, because wherever there's money, there's risk of manipulation, and winning a lot of votes does open up that incentive. So I think it's about walking this digital strategy slowly, but ultimately, I mean, I would love to be at a point in this country where we can say, listen, 99% of the voting population actually voted, versus what we have at the moment is you have 15 to 16 million people who are eligible to vote who do not vote. And when you look at the reasons why they haven't voted, they either didn't register, they stood on the line and got frustrated with how long the line was, or one of multiple other reasons. And if we can try and get most of the population to vote, I think we'll have a far stronger election and a far stronger democracy as well.
Yeah. And I guess, if I have to be a skeptic, right, the argument can be made that going either fully electronic or relying more and more on some kind of electronic assistance and systems wouldn't also necessarily solve our problem of people pitching up on the day to vote. Because some would say that, well, it's not really, if you wanted to vote and you had the intention to vote, you would go vote because 10, 12 million people stood in those lines for 6 hours because that was the intention for the day. So you could then be like, okay, the blockchain crashed on me and we wouldn't be able to verify whether or not that happened.
You're 100% correct. And, it's a similar challenge that the banks in this country face. They want to take out their product to everyone, but you've got probably in South Africa 25 to 30% unbanked population, which interestingly sort of is similar in terms of the number of people that didn't vote. So I think you want to find innovative solutions. So working with a number of fintechs across South Africa and Africa for that matter, one of the discussions is, can we set up more mobile voting stations? And instead of, we heard some of the excuses that there was no signal. And personally for myself, in 2024, when we talk about not having signal, it should not be a proper excuse, because you can put 3 of the mobile telecommunicators SIM cards into a device. You can put fiber. And if we're really smart, we can also attach a Starlink to it to always give us connectivity. And if we set up mobile voting stations and we had thousands of these, it would probably help us drop the number from 25%. Because in this day and age, with how people consume digitally, unfortunately, people have become very, very lazy. So even going to the voting station, which might be 2 kilometers away, might be difficult for them. But imagine if there was a mobile one that was coming their way or located very close to them. It might make the voter experience better. So we live in a digital world at the moment where everyone talks about the customer experience. So corporate South Africa are challenging to say, how do we provide the best customer experience to be able to retain the customer? So I'm going to take that and flip it on its head and say, let's look at the voter experience while at the same time managing the fact that we need transparency in this process. Because when something goes wrong in the systems, they go wrong very, very badly. And that's going to really ask more questions. So I think we want to have a conservative digital strategy that we can take all of the people that are going to be a part of it, aka the voters, on that journey with us.
086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note. Based on your recent voting experience, if you're one of the South Africans who went out on the 29th to vote, do you think that we are ready to go fully electronic, or should we be incorporating some kind of electronic or digital systems into our voting system? Or perhaps you believe that if it's not broken, do not fix it. We'd love to hear from you. For now, though, it's the news headlines.
Thanks, Bridget, and a very good afternoon. With the news headlines, ke Modupi Makgalemele. The DA in KZN says it is willing to work with any political party that is serious about restoring stability to eThekwini. The DA's Ellen Winde has been elected as the Premier of the Western Cape for a second term, and the White House says the G7 has made very good progress on a deal to give $50 billion in interest from frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. I'll be back with a full news update at 2.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
Our lines are open on 086 000 2032, and we'd love to hear from you and hear your perspective in as far as potentially going electronic with our voting systems. Do you foresee any issues there? 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. And of course, between you and I, we don't have to be technical about this conversation because obviously this is not our arena of expertise, unlike Neville and Moodley, but we can just give our perspective as, potential customers, as you said. You heard him say right now, it's all about the end user experience. And do you think that it would be a better experience for you, perhaps more efficient, more transparent, more fail-proof, or maybe you have reservations? I mean, there are plenty of people within the field of election voting systems that have a number of reservations. This conversation consistently comes up on social media, and those who know better, like the types of Neville, always have different perspectives as to what will and what would not work for us. Before we get to you, Sammy in Pretoria, I see you. Neville, let me ask you this. When you talk about, for instance, fintechs having all kinds of solutions, because they have to work at sort of this level, this high intense, high volume level, and their systems frameworks have to hold. I wonder if there's something there for us to learn, if there's potential there for the IEC, for instance, to sit across the table and maybe learn in as far as how do we integrate electronics or rather electronic systems into our voting system in a way that would be beneficial.
Yeah. Bridget, it's a great question. And I mean, if you look at it, right, so on the day of voting, you've got roughly 20 to 30 million people hitting a system. And that's a significant amount of traffic. I mean, some of our e-commerce retailers do these specials, and even Black Friday, you're dealing with massive volumes of transactions. Now, what's happened sort of globally is regulators across the world have realized that the operational resilience of systems actually depends on humankind. So they've actually started regulating how you can actually be more resilient. So when the concept is called operational resilience, in Europe, they've come out with a piece of regulation called the Digital Operational Resilience Act, or DORA as they like to call it. And what it actually entails is how do we make our systems, our processes, and our organizations more resilient? So for the elections, for example, the two specific examples I want to highlight is I just tried checking if I was registered, and it took me about an hour and a half. I knew I was registered, but I just wanted to test the system. And the reason that they gave back to us was that, listen, the systems were down and the network was down. That could have all been prevented with the simulated test that could have done 30 million transactions. We could have simulated 30 million people onto the system. And then we could have made the changes far before the election started to help them actually manage that risk, as an example.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to the overall concept of resilience, the whole world and the whole digital world is moving towards the space of operational resilience, because without us even knowing, we as South Africans are very reliant on cloud service providers, whether we know it or whether we don't know it, but we're reliant on the Microsoft, we're reliant on Amazon, we're reliant on Google for using their cloud services. If they go down, I mean, corporate South Africa is a great example of this. If Microsoft goes down, productivity in corporate South Africa probably drops 50 to 60%. It's the same with voting. We need to make sure that we apply the same resilience standards that banks would apply, or that global counterparts who deal with multiple volumes of transactions would, to make the voter process a lot more smoother.
Yeah. Sammy in Pretoria, how are you doing?
Your guest. Bridget, I disagree with your guest on two things.
Okay.
He says that our voting system outperforms that one of the USA. and is quoting the example of the Republicans claiming, not giving proof, claiming that immigrants were voting. That is just a hearsay. That is just a hearsay. And based on what we've seen right now with opposition parties and independent candidates lodging court papers against the IEC saying that the elections were rigged, you cannot say that our election system outperforms that of the USA. That is not true. And then let's get to the issue of electronic voting. That's why I make a disclaimer. I'm a cybersecurity analyst, by the way.
Okay, Sammy.
Electronic voting is safer than paper voting. It's being proven continuously. The thing with electronic voting, there's people that are claiming that it is open to manipulation. That is fear-mongering, Bridget. Electronic voting works like this. When you go to the system and vote, that system is not connected to the World Wide Web. It uses what's called the intranet. Intranet is only open to the people that's within the organization. And there's only one administrator. There's only one IT technician who's the administrator for that system. He's the only one who's got the password.
Okay,
It's got the front. It's got the front end, the one that you interact with, and it's got the back end, the one that handles.
We have to give other people a chance, Sammy. So can we shorten version?
Yeah, what I'm saying to you, electronic voting has been proven over and over that it's safer than paper voting, even in 1999.
Thanks, Sammy. We get the points, and Sammy's very passionate about it. And I guess there are arguments to be made on all sides. Let's go to Duma in Joburg. How are you? Yeah, Pila Putuam, go ahead.
Yeah. Given the mess that we saw of the papers getting thrown out there, getting bent and everything, I think electronic voting is the way to go. Mm-hmm. Because there won't be that much noise like we saw this time, It was a big mess. So I think I 100% support this electronic voting. A person must come with his ID, scan it, use a fingerprint scan as well, or maybe even that little camera that they put there, like in the banks, Biometrics, and also that camera there, the webcam that they put there as well, so you can your face, you can scan your face as well. So it has to be done that way, I think.
Okay.
Thanks, biometrics is fingers, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Duma. Thank you for chiming in. Let's go to WhatsApp and see what's on your mind there. WhatsApp.
Good day, Bridget. I think electronic voting machines, EVMs, are used in some countries. I think India has used it with a population of 648 million voters. I think it's a way to go. And I think at most, or at least even the urban areas could be covered with this, because I think most of us are kind of tagged in these areas, and it would be easy to pick up double voting, etc. So at least that will take off, release some pressure on the IEC, so those in urbanized areas could be started with electronic voting in the comfort of your home over a weekend or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, good afternoon, Bridget. It's John from Pretoria. Bridget, electronic voting not going to happen, shouldn't happen, mustn't happen. If government or SOEs can't get a simple registration of a meter, prepaid meter done, or you can't even get into the bank, or everything just falls down flat because people don't test their systems from outside. They just say, ooh, everything's ready to go, and then nothing works. I really don't think we must even go there.
Good way of looking at it, and the ultimate reason for that.
Good day, Bridget. This is Zek from Protect Glen. I think our voting system is okay as it is right now. If we go electronic way, we might end up like US. Remember when Donald Trump became president, we heard that their voting system were manipulated by Russia, things like that. So we don't want to go through that system whereby there will be doubts that whoever won it purely without any manipulation from the West countries. So it's okay as it is right now, really. we'll do it manually as long everything goes well. I wish next time IEC will do better than what they did, but I think our system is good as it is. Thank you.
All right. There's views on either side, and we have to wrap up the conversation. I still can't get over how passionate Sammy is, but I guess if you are in a certain industry, sometimes you do get passionate. Neville, can we just tie it up nicely here in a minute or less?
Yes, 100%, Bridget. So, great to hear Sammy's views as well. Very passionate about the topic. So I think to summarize I think there's pros and cons of moving towards digital voting. The pros that are there, the voter experience could be better. More people that haven't registered may end up voting because they find the process a lot easier. The cons is that for the average South African or the layman, there's probably going to be an erosion of trust unless there's education programs that can take them on the journey. And just to comment on one of Sammy's comments that he made, I do agree digital voting is going to be far more trusted. It's going to work a lot better. The problem is, how do you lock an identity of a person to a specific vote and be comfortable that someone in a rural area, as an example, wasn't manipulated, gave their access away, put the vote through for that person, which ultimately impacts the results. And I think these are sort of the pros and cons. And I'm pretty sure that the IEC are probably looking at the pros and cons and developing already what I would call their digital strategy for the 2026 and then the 2029 elections. But ultimately, if it puts the voter at the center and says, how do we create more trust, make the experience better for voters, and ultimately, how do we get more of the South African population to actually vote, I think that would represent success for South Africa and our democracy.
Yeah. Neville and Mudli, thank you so much for your time today. Neville is a partner at BDO South Africa and, of course, head of financial services, helping us navigate that conversation. Let's take a quick pause. We come back into Stages, Pages, Screens and more.
Stages, Pages, Screens and more with Bridget Masinga.
Alroy Phyllis Bell, who's the Joburg Ballet CEO, joins us now. Rehearsals are currently underway at the Joburg Ballet Studios as the company prepares to brighten our midwinter with a brand new staging of The Sleeping Beauty, probably one of the most iconic of the great ballet classics. How are you doing this afternoon, Alroy?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me, Bridget.
Thank you for taking the time. So with much anticipation, at the end of the month, we are going to be seeing a staging of The Sleeping Beauty. Tell me, the excitement for 2024, because it also, from what I read, featuring quite the international cast.
Yes, I think that's one of the wonderful things about this presentation of The Sleeping Beauty for Joburg Ballet is the sort of international clout that we're also bringing into it, but also the opportunity for people to see variety of types of ballet dancers from around the world on our stages, where we are kind of dispelling this notion of what ballet used to look like, if I can phrase it that way. We've got Guillaume Diop, who is one of the youngest and the first dancer at 12 for Paris Opera, who is of color. He's come and joined us for his first international tour since being promoted to the highest rank of Paris Opera's ballet. So we're excited to be the first national performance that is going to be featuring Guillaume. We have Nelson Peña Nunez, who's a Cuban-born individual who's actually working and principal dancer in Kazakhstan. We have Ryoko Yagyu, who's Japanese-born, who works in Ballet Ireland. And the whole show is being put together by Sophie Sorote, who comes to us from La Scala, Milan. So it's quite the international lineup, but it's also about really how we're bringing this talent in to elevate our company's experience as well, because having these international guests really stimulates the South African dancers and really augment their own training and their performance.
Absolutely. I was actually going to say that surely there is an exchange of knowledge and practice when one brings over international talents of such acclaim.
Indeed. I think Sophie Sorote, who's the producer of this show, is also bringing a more Italian sort of interpretation of this classic, whereas in the past we've had very UK-framed versions of this work. And she's bringing quite a strong La Scala sort of ballet into the production, and we're seeing that being really received by the company as a whole, because it's a style that they're not necessarily used to every day, and it's creating an elevation of their own work by working with Sophie in that way.
Yeah.
So we're very excited to see how this manifests on stage at the end of the month, because it is quite an exciting sort of confluence of various sort of artistic interpretations.
Absolutely. You also inviting into this particular performance, your dancers are going to be accompanied by the Johannesburg Philharmonic.
Yes, indeed. We're lucky to have partners in the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra who are joining us for 7 of the 9 performances throughout the run. It's conducted by a young gentleman from Retreat in Cape Town. So we're very excited about having the orchestra with us, augmenting that performance experience for the audience by having the live orchestra. And of course, Sleeping Beauty, as you said, it's one of the iconic classics in the repertoire of classical ballet. It also requires a very large orchestra. Your average orchestra for the Philharmonic is 40 people. This is Tchaikovsky's score, requires 57.
Sure.
And that complements the additional 50 dancers and performers on the stage. So it's quite an epic work, which is really not to be missed on the Johannesburg entertainment calendar.
I mean, it's incredible. It's over 100 performers on stage.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one of those rare moments when you're experiencing performance work of this scale that you really become immersed in the grandness of something like
So the ballet is going to be running from the 28th until the 7th of July, The Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
And I know that obviously tickets are on sale. And where are we going? The Joburg Theatre box office is where you can go for the tickets. But you're also doing it in partnership, of course, with the French Institute and the Embassy of France, who've sort of helped you in as far as the logistics and getting all of these incredible performers and artists out here.
Truly, Bridget, I mean, for me, as the CEO of Joburg Ballet, access has always been such an important part of the work that we're doing. And just because we're bringing all of these people, doesn't mean we need to be elevating the ticket prices. So we've got a partner in Air France, who's an exceptional partner along this journey, bringing all these international guests in full with us. And then obviously the Institut Français has been great around supporting the fees and having Guillaume Diop coming in from Paris. But really, as a result of that, we've been able to keep price tickets as manageable as possible. So our opening night remains half price across the board. Have 110 Rand tickets for the morning shows on Wednesday the 3rd and Thursday the 4th of July, which is perfect for school holidays and parents and kids to do something. And then our normal prices run from 240 Rand to 50 Rand. Running 9 performances from the 28th of June to the 7th of July. Tickets are available on web tickets or the Joburg Theatre box office, because we'll be on the Mandela stage at the Joburg Theatre.
Lovely stuff. Elroy Phyllis Bell, we appreciate the time with you today. It definitely is a must-do on the Joburg Ballet calendar from the 28th of June until the 7th of July. That is The Sleeping Beauty, and it's going to be presented at the Joburg Theatre on the Mandela stage, accompanied, of course, by the Johannesburg Philharmonic. You heard over 100 cast members, including the Philharmonic, at 57 strong on the stage for each one of the performances, and featuring quite the stellar international star-studded cast of dancers coming through. So the Joburg Theatre box office is where you can go to get tickets, and of course webtickets.co.za is the other portal. It is 10 to 2 o'clock, and it's time for us to get into Nalibali that will run us till the top of the hour.
Now you can get private banking levels of service from Auto & General. They've just launched their private advisory service, and if you have more than a car to insure and your combined cover is valued at more than 1 million Rand, you qualify. To celebrate, they're giving you the chance to win in the Auto and General Combine and Qualify competition. Visit safm.co.za, complete the entry form, and we could be calling you live on air. You'll be presented with various scenarios of insurable items. If you combine the correct two that meet the qualifying criteria for a private advisor, you'll win 5,000 Rand. Plus, if you get an obligation-free insurance quote from Auto and General, you'll get an extra 1,000 Rand. Visit safm.co.za and enter now. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. This year, we are celebrating Youth Month under the theme Actively Embracing the Socio-Economic Gains of Our Democracy. As we commemorate the massacre of school children during the Soweto Uprising of 1976, we also celebrate the liberation of our beloved country. Hashtag Freedom30. Hashtag Youth Month. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
What are your thoughts about coalition choices?
We said we are open to talk to everybody, including the MK party. And it's very difficult to talk to people there because when you talk to them, they tell you that they are still waiting for Ubaba.
Anyone seen
Ubaba?
Have you seen him? Have you seen him?
And Ubaba gatholakala.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Nali Bali. A dream is a succession of images, ideas, emotions, and sensations that usually occur involuntarily in the mind during certain stages of sleep. Humans spend about 2 hours dreaming per night, and each dream lasts around 5 to 20 minutes, although the dreamer may perceive the dream as being much longer than this. Today, let's listen to a story called Mr. Chameleon's Dream, written by Melody Ngomane. But before we listen to today's story, let's all get up and
dance!
In a popular jungle, somewhere in the Mpumalanga province, Master Jack got together a new team of entertainers to thrill and excite the visitors and local people in our country. Once a year, Master Jack would hold auditions to look for new entertainers, such as dancers, singers, and even comedians. But if they were to be chosen, the animals' acts had to be very special. In fact, they had to be extraordinary. On the morning of the trials, all the animals woke up early to practice. Birdie was flying around, humming and doing voice warm-ups.
Me, 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 me. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
The hyena triplets were harmonizing so beautifully that everyone marveled at them. The little monkey's tap dancing skills were delightful. Everyone was sure he would be chosen for the new group.
Yeah, and hey, what about you, Mr. Chameleon?
Asked Rabbit.
Are you just gonna sit around there and change your colors? You know, there's nothing really special about that.
The group laughed.
You shouldn't be here. You're just taking up space,
said Elephant. making drumming noises with his trunk. All the animals thought Mr. Chameleon's act was inferior to theirs, especially because he was old and slow. When it was finally Mr. Chameleon's turn, he was so nervous and unsure. He was just about to leave when Master Jack opened the theatre doors and invited everyone. "Come in, everybody. It's time to show me what you can do," said Mr. Jack. Mr. Chameleon was very nervous watching everyone go on stage. He was sweating and his heart was beating fast as he waited for his name to be called. When it was finally Mr. Chameleon's turn, he was so nervous and unsure of himself that he couldn't move. Just as Master Jack was about to call another animal, Mr. Chameleon stood up and said,
"I'm here."
Everyone laughed as Mr. Chameleon slowly went on stage. The spotlight was on him, and the whole theatre started making fun of him. He just stood there, frozen, doubting himself as he remembered all the horrible things that other animals had said to him. The whole theatre buzzed with loud noises. Mr. Chameleon shyly changed from one color to the next. But most of the animals didn't think it was very special and they started to throw vegetables and fruits at him. Master Jack asked them to be quiet. Suddenly, Mr. Chameleon saw all the chances to do something special. He knew that he had to believe in himself, and so he looked at all the fruits and vegetables and all their different colors. Then he started jumping as fast as he could from one to the other, changing colors each time. These swift movements created beautiful rainbow dances, and the faster he moved, the faster his colors changed. Mr. Chameleon's brilliant dance with its beautiful rainbow colors lit the stage, and all the animals suddenly went quiet. Master Jack's jaw dropped to the floor. This had to be the most beautiful thing ever seen. Once Mr. Chameleon was done, the theatre started buzzing again, but this time it buzzed with loud clapping and whistling. Mr. Chameleon's act was surely the best. Mr. Chameleon went on to become a regular at Master Jack's show, and everyone loved him. Old as he was, Mr. Chameleon had made his dream come true, and he never ever doubted himself ever again. And so we come to the end of another Nali Bali story time. Today's story was called Mr. Chameleon's Dream, written by Melody Ngomane. Did you know that reading and telling stories to children at home can help them do better at school? If you want free stories to read to your children or for your children to enjoy on their own, visit Nali Bali website www.nalibali.org or Mobi site www.nalibali.mobi. You will find stories in 11 South African languages, as well as tips for reading and sharing stories with your children to grow their potential. Also look out for the bilingual Nali Bali Reading for Enjoyment supplements with great children's stories and activities available in newspapers. Nali Bali, it starts with a story.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation.
top stories at 2 o'clock. The DA serious about stabilizing eThekwini and illegal booze confiscated in Cape Town. A very good afternoon. The DA in KZN says it is willing to work with any political party that is serious about restoring stability to eThekwini. The provincial legislature will hold its first sitting of the 7th administration tomorrow, when MPLs will elect the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker and Premier. The Mayor of the Umgeni municipality, Chris Papas, says the DA will work with the incoming provincial government to ensure that the municipality formulates a plan on how to deliver basic services, especially water.
What is important for me is what we campaigned on, and those were our 7 pledges. So if those can resonate in a new government, then we will support that. And obviously, whether we are part of that government in the executive or in positions in the legislature, our role in ensuring that those are delivered remain our key priorities. Those relate to the economy foremost. We have huge unemployment in our province, crime, ending corruption in the government, and then restoring water across the province. We have huge challenges with water.
In the Western Cape, the DA's Alan Winde has been elected as the Premier of the province for a second term. He received 26 votes in the election for the position in the first sitting of the provincial legislature. The DA secured 24 seats in the 42-seat legislature, followed by the ANC with 8 seats, the Patriotic Alliance 3, and the EFF 2. 5 other parties have 1 seat each. Winde has described the election as humbling.
It is an absolute honour and privilege to receive the majority vote in this very House, and for that I say to all of the members, thank you very much, and I don't take this lightly. It is a privilege, but it is also an honour to be able to take this position into this next term on behalf of the citizens of this province.
The Border Management Authority says the employment of junior border guards is showing some positive results. This week alone, they intercepted counterfeit clothing, shoes and alcohol at the Lepombo border between Mpumalanga and Mozambique. The authority's spokesperson, Mmemo Kgotsi, says they are committed to facilitating the legitimate movement of goods and people at the country's 71 ports of entry.
The intercepted counterfeit clothing and shoes hidden in a trailer of another minibus taxi and in a baggie full of vegetables. These vehicles were traveling from Mozambique, trying to smuggle the goods illegally when they were stopped for a routine search. The matters were handed over to customs for processing.
Police in the Western Cape have confiscated counterfeit liquor with an estimated street value of 24 million rand. This happened during the search of a liquor outlet on the corners of Plain and Reinefeld streets in Easter River on the Cape Flats. Police spokesperson Wesley Twigg.
On Wednesday, 12 June, the Provincial Counterfeit Illicit and Contraband Goods Task Team embarked on a counterfeit operation in the Clay Policing Precinct. The estimated street value of the liquor is 24 million rand. A 20-year-old Chinese national was arrested for dealing in counterfeit, illicit and illegal goods. He is due to make a court appearance in the Bellville Magistrates Court once he has been charged.
And the White House says that the G7 has made very good progress on a deal to give $50 billion in interest from frozen Russian assets to Ukraine. The President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, will also sign a new security agreement with US President Joe Biden. The BBC's Mark Lowen reports.
Joe Biden has signed a long-term security agreement between the US and Ukraine to try to outlive any kind of political election in November that could change the political dynamic in the US. And crucially, there will be probably an agreement between the G7 leaders to use frozen Russian assets in the West, which are thought to amount to about $300 billion, to raise interest and use that interest to then give to Ukraine as a loan. Now, the thinking is that that could raise about $50 billion.
The top story at 2 o'clock, the DA in KZN says it is willing to work with any political party that is serious about restoring stability to eThekwini. For SAFM News, ke Modupi Makgalemele.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Lights, camera, scalpel. Every second counts, and every cut, every thought, every action is critical. Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Mama Kitty, I heard Rand Water talking on the radio about how dangerous it is for people to encroach on their pipeline servitude.
Yes, those high-pressure Rand Water pipelines are under the ground distributing megalitres of water. When people build on top of the pipeline, Rand Water is unable to conduct maintenance on the pipeline, which has a negative impact on water provision. Pipelines can burst without warning. People could get seriously injured or worse.
Yes, people can die from a bursting pipe. That is why people need to understand that Rand Water servitude is where a Rand Water pipeline is located. If we build our houses or businesses on a Rand Water servitude, then we are encroaching on that servitude. They say if communities want to know whether they've encroached over servitudes, they should look for the Rand Water beacons.
The beacons indicate the presence of Rand Water pipelines under the ground. They're rectangular, made of concrete, are painted either white or blue, and have the Rand Water logo on them.
Let's take a walk around our area to see if there are any Rand Water beacons so that we can also tell the neighbors.
Rand Water, celebrating 120 years of existence and still finding new ways to provide clean, portable bulk water.
Channel your inner traveller on Top Travel this Saturday night at 8:30 on S3 as we scuba dive the kelp forests off the Cape Peninsula and kayak with the local penguins. Book into the beachfront suites of any couple's dream, take flight from Signal Hill, land just in time for lunch at Chef's Warehouse, and enjoy the classic Cape Town experience. That's Top Travel this Saturday night at 8:30. Repeat Sunday at 1 p.m. on S3.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Everybody's talking about you and her together. How could you do that to me? Yeah. And everybody's talking about all the wonderful things you do with her, like you used to with me. Can you tell by the look on my face? I still like you that way. Everybody's talking about you and her together. How could you do that to me? Yeah. And everybody's talking, everybody's going on about her, what you used to do with me. I can tell by the look on your face, you really like her that way. And now I'm trying not to lose my mind and start crying, but I can tell
Braxton coming through with As Long As I Live. I swear to goodness, I think today our relationship with my technical my technical producer is on the rocks. We are very out of sync today. We need to go back to couples therapy so we can realign our chakras and ensure that we are back to business as usual. But anyway, right. It's just gone 10 past 2 o'clock. Tony Braxton coming through with Long As I Live. And that one came from that EP Smoke and Cigarettes from a couple of years ago. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, or 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line. And now we are focused on matters legal, and we're looking at bylaws and what to do if a business opens up next door to your house. That is the topic. It can be quite disturbing for a few people because it impacts sometimes on the peace and quiet of your neighborhood. And some people would even argue that it impacts on their property value, etc., etc. What do the zoning laws and other issues say around that? And if you have a business that's opened up next door to your house or that's opened up on your street, or you're thinking of opening up somewhere that is more residential and you're just unsure, we thought we'd invite legal experts into the building from VDT Attorneys. Tian Koen is joining us, and Petrus van der Veld joining us in studio as well to help us navigate this conversation. So the lines are open on 0614104107. That's our WhatsApp line, 086 000 2032. Gentlemen, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for coming into the studio. We appreciate the time. Let's talk about this because, I mean, we see it in the big metros. We see it a lot. I was saying to my team, ironically enough, just yesterday I was driving through my neighborhood and I thought, oh, wait, so these businesses are no longer just on the main streets. They're now sort of moving into the inward roads and occupying space. And I got to thinking, wonder what zoning says about this. What does zoning say about what can we do and can't we do in residential communities in as far as opening business?
Thank you for hosting us and thank you to the listeners. You're quite right. Since COVID especially, we've seen a lot of people move into the suburbs conducting business. And obviously, we think entrepreneurship is a big thing to walk towards, but you still need to comply with the laws.
Yeah.
When you consider opening a business within a residential area, there are basically two factors you need to consider. One is your applicable zoning. Zoning is a term used for describing the type of business or residential relationship that you can have within your specific area. So in terms of residential area, it's purely residential. The word says it. You are not allowed to conduct business there, and that is managed by the local authority. So for instance, the City of Joburg, City of Ekurhuleni, City of Tshwane, your local authorities. So to determine your zoning, the first step would be to visit your local authority. Find out in the area you're staying, what is your applicable zoning. You will fall between zoning 1 and 4, and those are your residential zonings with accompanying rights.
Okay.
So first start there. Then secondly, if you are considering opening a business, first you must determine obviously if you're the property owner yourself or if you're a tenant. If you are a tenant, you must first reach out to your landlord to find out whether you are permitted to open a business within the property. If you are the landowner yourself, you should immediately refer to your title deed. Your title deed will have certain title conditions that will either restrict business in the sense that it will specifically say no other rights are awarded for this property except for those of residential. Then you know immediately you're not allowed to conduct any business on the property.
All right. So then I guess even if just looking at our urban metros, right? So even if it's a residential neighborhood, you mentioned that there's zone 1 through 4. So there could be sort of leeway for you to open up a business or businesses to open up in your neighborhood, but within certain stipulations and parameters.
You are 100% correct.
Okay.
So you've got a technical term you call departure, meaning that is where you will ask for compliance in a certain zone to conduct a type of business that will be able to run together with the rights of the residential owners in the area. So then you will request the local authority that you depart from the specific zoning, and you will then submit certain plans and business proposals to the applicable metro to show what type of business you want to conduct. So for instance, when you're on a residential area and you want to conduct an office-based venture, meaning you're purely gonna convert one of your rooms, for instance, into office.
Yeah.
You don't have any clients traveling to you. You're not a doctor that has patients, meaning the effect on the residential neighbours are basically zero. That means a departure from the existing zoning. Whereas when you consider opening a creche, or for instance a butchery, or you want to start a manufacturing business, that obviously has a detrimental effect on every owner next to you, because there's noise, there's feet, there's cars traveling. That's more than a departure. Then you're actually going to have to request the rezoning of your property in order to conduct this type of business. And when you consider to rezone your property, it is prudent to get the services of a town planner who can assist you with the specific authority and also assist you in compiling your application, that your chances of approval are much better.
Okay, let's talk a little bit, Petrus. You're not just here with your handsome face. You also have some knowledge. Let's talk a bit about, and obviously you gents know which one of you has which information and which is stronger, so you can always bounce it between the two of you. Let's talk about the rezoning of the property, right? And I love the fact that Tian brings up, for instance, a creche, kindergarten, because those sort of pop up within residential pockets, and it's always an isolated house on a quiet street by itself, and we don't think much about it, right? Because it answers convenience. You want to drop off your kid, but there could be issues.
So that dovetails nicely with a recent matter, quite recent, that happened in Bloemfontein in 2019.
Don't be shy of my mic. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like Tian said, you frequently find that, a creche is opened up next door, or a tavern, or in Bloemfontein, a construction company opened up in a residential area in about 2019, and the neighbours were obviously quite distressed with the nature of the business. It was not just an administrative office that was ran from the property. There were construction works that was busy, being done on the property. So these neighbours, as they first approached the local authority, and they tried to get the assistance of the local authority, which the local authorities generally do assist with. You get the spatial planning departments, and you approach them, and they would generally go out to the address where the complaints stem from, and engage and try and resolve this matter before having to proceed to with any further action. Now, in this specific instance, the property from where the business activities were ran from was specifically zoned as a residential zoning, so there weren't any business zonings on it. And also, Tian quickly touched on it, the title deed contained a specific restrictive condition of the specific property that said the property may only be used for residential purposes only, and no trade or business or industry whatsoever shall be conducted thereon. These parties weren't able to find themselves, resolving this matter amicably, and they had to proceed to court. And the business, they basically said, but these guys, they stay more than a kilometer from me. They're not within a radius of 50 meters. They said that the nature of the suburb was changing from a residential area to a commercial area, and they also said that they are in the process of applying for rezoning, but importantly, the rezoning was not yet approved, and they said, but they haven't received any objections, so they assume they can just proceed with business. Now, the court didn't take favorably to their arguments, and actually ordered them to immediately stop their business activities. So you must clearly ascertain your rights before just proceeding with these types of activities that may influence the rights of your neighbours, to make sure that you are lawfully authorised to do these activities. Otherwise, you might just find yourself in the wrong end of a lawsuit.
And in terms of, and I like that sort of, you say that in their response, right, they said that there was no objections to they sort of conducting their business or starting to set up for their business in that area. area. So at what point then, as we listening as residents, at what point do I then go to an authority? Because I'm not going to know beforehand. I'll just see the creche is now up and the house is painted blue and there's signage and there's children. So at what point do I then go and say, wait a minute, I want to lodge a complaint here?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
So the nature of what we term in legal talk interdictory relief, it's mostly urgent. You need someone to immediately stop, cease and desist with what they are doing. So it obviously bolsters your case if you can tell the local authority. But I've not let this thing happen in my backyard for years and years, and now only I have an issue with this. I immediately, as soon as I realized there's an issue, I approached you to assist me, and that will also assist with if you have to go to court in assisting you in your case. But yeah, it's the general rule of thumb is if you realize something is happening that should not be happening, do something about it immediately. You might do the investigation and see what's the zoning and do I really have a case. Generally people from the street don't have access to title deeds, but you might approach an attorney to assist you to get the title deed of the specific property, or you go to the relevant deeds office to see what's in the title deed. But if you feel you have a case, rather go to the local authority sooner rather than later to assist you.
Okay, so we can't just assume then, Tian, that because we're on the same street, our title deeds more or less speak to the same wording.
That is a great question. So when we use the term township, but township refers to when a certain area is earmarked for development purposes. So when a new developer comes along and they earmark a certain area that they want to develop houses, for instance.
Yeah.
Then at that point, they will also engage with the local authority. The local authority will then lay down what we call township conditions. These conditions will be brought into every title deed to say, in this area, no business may be conducted other than the following, for instance.
Yeah.
So then you can assume that if your title deed specifically says you cannot conduct business in a certain area, that in your street it will be the same case. But as Petrus also mentioned, in that case, there are certain zonings that change from time to time.
Yeah.
The local authority realizes that you cannot just keep people boxed in a certain area. So some areas are, by virtue of development, earmarked for further rights. So it can be that 10 years ago when you bought your property, there was 0 to none business in the area. But due to expansion, the zoning of the city actually changed. So somebody that's now a kilometer from you might be in a new zoning area, and if they apply for business rights, they can actually have it. So back to what Petrus said, it's vital.
Yeah.
If you see a business operating in your area and it's bothering you, it's specifically, we understand creches, we realize the need for it, but also if a creche, there's more traffic.
Yeah.
Meaning there's more cars driving. In rush hour, your own enjoyment of your residential suburb is being affected. So the moment you realize something, engage with the owner themselves or go to your local authority and find out, are they authorized to conduct this business here?
Very interesting. 061-410-4107 as you listen to us, getting some knowledge from our guests in studio today from VDT attorneys, and we're talking around all matters of zoning rights and, of course, business rights, where you cannot open your business, what recourse you have if there's a business next door to you that has opened and perhaps you have some kind of reservation, or you're thinking that they shouldn't be able to operate and open their businesses. And if you have any questions at all or anything that you want to add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to do so on 086 000 2032 and 061-410-4107. Let's throw a curveball, right? Because as we talk, I'm assuming we all live in the southern suburbs or whichever versions of southern suburbs. And so we almost operate or think at a different kind of frequency about zoning and businesses and residencies. Let's move it into, historical townships, Soweto, Diepsloot, all those areas, where Bridget's going to go and open her business right next door without even consulting my neighbor. We have a very famous DJ in this country who's opened up a lovely club on the streets, and it bothers his neighbors, but he's a famous South African DJ, and now the neighbors just have to put earplugs on a Sunday and kind of get on with it. in that context, the same laws apply, whether you're living in the suburbs or you're living in an historical township neighborhood, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, Bridget, it's also that's true. Each area has their own zoning, and Tian can elaborate more on that. But it's also important to keep in mind that even if the zoning allows for a certain business activity to be conducted or a certain whatever activity to be conducted on that property, it does not leave you without recourse. And you mentioned the noise disturbance that may be caused by a club or whatever. Even if your zoning and allows for a club to be operated from a business from a property, you can still approach the relevant authorities within in this instance, the noise disturbance or noise nuisance category. Now, there's an act, the Environment Conservation Act, which specifically provides for two different types of noise nuisance. The first one is a noise disturbance, which is objectively measurable. You measure it in decibels, and you can tell the municipality that these are the exact decibels of noise that's being created. And then the other one is more the one that we encounter, the noise nuisance. It's a subjective matter. It's a dog barking, but it's normally something that happens over a long period of time consistently. Like I said, dogs barking, or your neighbor listening to his TV for forever, and then you can also again approach the municipality and tell them, I understand the zoning allows for this, but this is really impacting my life, and this is not reasonable. And then again, you have almost the same recourse. The municipality goes out, they try and assist the matter, and then if they can't assist, then you again can approach your local courts for an interdict. So even if the zoning allows for it, you are not without recourse, and you should not just feel, okay, it's out of my hands.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick pause here for the headline news, and then we'll come back on the other side of this and continue our conversation.
A very good afternoon. With the news headlines, Kim Mudupi Makhalemere. Analysts say it is important for political parties to put aside their ideological differences and agree on what the developmental agenda is going to be over the course of the next 5 years. The DANKZN says it is willing to work with any political party that is serious about restoring stability to eThekwini. And a genetic analysis of human remains from a sacred site in southern Mexico has shed new light on the rituals of the ancient Maya civilization. Details of these and other stories at 3.
Oh, I didn't realize Madupi was finished. That was Madupi with the headline news. He'll be back again at the top of the hour. 086 000 2032. We've got Tian and Petros in studio, and they have worked on quite a few cases regarding bylaws, and they know all that you need to know about zoning, rezoning, what is possible, what is not possible if you are trying to open a business, or if there's a business that's opened next door to you and you've got some issues, and if you'd like to get some information, you're more than welcome to give us a shout right now on 086 000 2032 or 061 410 4107. Okay, let's go to WhatsApp. I know that I've got a voice note here on WhatsApp.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good afternoon, SAFM, your team and your guests. My name is Jacob from Wheatbank. I just want to find out, maybe what I'm about to ask is not within the topic, but maybe they might have an idea. I want to ask about the advertising within the residential area. Is there any rules to that? Because sometimes you just see people plugging their posters or flyers on whatever that they are advertising within people's yard or something within those lines. Some they pull these mobile trailers and on the residential intersections and all that. So what are the rules to that? Thank you very much.
Hey Bridget, nice show as always. Zoning and bylaws do not apply in the townships. Just 2 houses from my home, there's a tavern that plays music every Saturday, Sunday, from Friday, Saturday and Sunday till 3 a.m. each and every weekend. We are at our wits' end. We don't know what to do. We've reported, we've signed petitions, nothing is happening. He's just continuing with making noise till early hours of the morning every weekend. We really don't know what to do now. Thanks, bye.
All right, and that's what I was alluding to right there. Because we see it happening in our townships. I was in PE a couple of New Years ago, about 2 New Years ago, and I could not believe every other house was a double story or a triple story of a tavern or a shebeen, and people have to sleep. And people coming into your yard while you sleep, double parking in your yard, urinating in your yard, causing raucous, glass bottles in your yard. It's crazy. What do we do, gents?
Yeah, that's certainly not an ideal situation. And unfortunately, we get it a lot, and it does happen. And I've also found that it depends on which municipality you operate in and the type of assistance you get. The general avenues that I've found that works if you want to lodge your complaints is obviously firstly the municipality, the spatial planning department, which that is their job. One of their jobs to enforce these types of bylaws and all of that. Otherwise, the Metro Police can also assist, especially if it relates to a noise disturbance. Hopefully they come out and they assist. And then the ward councillors also are sometimes of a lot of assistance if you have an active ward councillor. So with my general approach is I spam everyone, and I've got a list of emails and I spam everyone until we get a response. And then the alternative is to take matters in your own hand and to approach the court. The court is most probably where you will get the most effective relief if these entities won't assist you, because then you substantiate your case and there's a judge or a magistrate that will listen. Unfortunately, in that instance, you will have to either generally approach an attorney to assist you, and there's cost involved with that. But if it becomes such a nuisance, I'm pretty sure the persons that help you to sign the petitions will also help to with a bit of a legal stockful or something like that.
Right? Yeah.
Most definitely, because I can just add to that the community is stronger than they think they are. The thing is, we tend to go alone. Everybody lays their complaints on their own, and then you don't substantiate the issue enough. But the community, where this lady is situated, they must all stand together, because obviously with a tavern like that, your children are impacted, your daily livelihood. So approach it together and do not stand down. You will get the appropriate result if you just continue.
Okay, all right. So you heard, spam them and be dedicated and resilient about it. The other one was around advertising within residential areas?
That's correct, Jacob. Also a very good question there. So in terms of, I hear you from Emrashleni, Witbank. So outdoor advertising is a term that can be broadly attributed to your question. Outdoor advertising still fall under the framework of the local authority. They need to approve, the type of material you want to use. If it's going to be a fixed thing you put up, like a board. I see you mentioned trailers specifically. When you pull up a trailer into a certain intersection, that is actually a cause of concern, because now you impact traffic regulations as well. People need to be able to see the lanes of incoming traffic, outgoing traffic. So those type of trailers are usually temporary. So we would not probably assist in calling the local authority, the municipality. There you call the Metro Police to tell them, come and remove these people. They are blocking traffic. They are making a nuisance of themselves at this specific area. But as far as advertising is concerned, where something of a more permanent nature is put up, such as billboards or anything that's of a more permanent nature, you still need approval from the local authority. And you can approach them and say, listen, you've seen the following person give out advertisements along the road or pamphlets or whatever. Do they have the necessary rights? And then they will take it from there on.
Let me ask you guys this, and I think it follows from that train of thought that Mama sent the voice note. Do we have any kind of bylaws in SA that speak to the distance, if you're operating a business, for instance, like a substance business, a bottle store, a shebeen, a tavern, whatever it is, a lounge hangout where you are selling alcohol. Is there any kind of bylaw that says that you should be within X proximity of, say, a school, a primary school, a high school, or any place where young people would be? A park or...
It's a very good question. I don't have the answer off the top of my head, but bylaws differ from municipality to municipality, and there certainly are restrictive conditions, especially with regards to when you get a liquor license. When the National Liquor Authority issues these licenses, there are restrictive conditions to those licenses. So obviously, firstly, you should hope that the tavern or the club or whatever has the proper license to conduct activities in selling liquor or dealing with liquor on the property. But your answer would be in the National Liquor Act, if I'm not mistaken, with regards to those. But yes, there are certainly some restrictive conditions to these licenses. You cannot merely just willy-nilly use these licenses to your whim. You can also, for instance, a liquor license is bound to a specific premises. It's not a roaming license. You get the license for a specific premises.
Okay, so I can't then take it and go open 10 streets down because now I've moved. Let's go to WhatsApp and hear what's on your mind.
Thanks for the show. I have a question. Do bylaws vary province to province, or district to district, or local municipality to local municipality? What levels of bylaws are there? Like what geographical or administerial levels are there? And to what degree can they vary between, say, for example, a local municipality in KZN and a local municipality in the Northern Cape? What's the difference?
I don't know which one of you want to take it. It sounded like a very broad question, so I don't know how we simplify it.
It is a broad question, but the short answer is yes. It does differ from area to area. So obviously you've got your legislatures that actually dish out these type of rules and laws. So each council has got the ability in terms of legislation, the SPLUMA Act, Spatial Land Use Management Act, and some other acts which gives them the authority to institute laws for their area. And obvious, you will have certain laws in areas applicable to the nature of the area. So for instance, you will have a fishery type of bylaw where it's next to the coast. But you won't have that, for instance, here in Gauteng.
Yeah.
So, yes, the short answer is it does differ from area to area. That is also why when you consider opening a business in Pretoria, but you also want to branch out to KZN, don't assume that you can conduct the same business on the same type of manner on different properties. Rather get a professional in each area to assist you in making sure I can conduct the following business, and these are the loopholes I have to get through in order to get approval.
Awesome. Gentlemen, as we wrap it up, I'll give Petrus the final bite. Just a quick one in about a minute, because who knows, some folks might ask as well. Please give us their email address, because I've got issues. At VDT Attorneys, is this one of your focus?
Yes, we certainly do a lot of property-related matters, whether it's litigious of nature or to assist you with setting up your business or to register property rights. We do the whole array.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much for coming through today. We appreciated those that were my guests, Tian Koen and, of course, Petrus van der Walt, joining us for this conversation. Let's take a quick pause here. It's just gone 3 o'clock. We're going to pause, and then we come back. We wrap it up with the final item on today's agenda.
Progress. It's the essence of Audi. Always pushing boundaries, exceeding expectations. Imagine extending the same progress to your Audi ownership. Now, extend your cover up to 15 years or 300,000 kilometers with the Audi Freeway Plan Extension. Keep moving forward with peace of mind and enjoy your Audi for longer. Experience value beyond tomorrow with an Audi Freeway Plan Extension. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest dealer for more information.
Do you remember the cool times of Sports Buzz?
Coming up on
Sports Buzz used to be the go-to young people sports show in Mzansi, Africa. The multi-sport award-winning youth magazine show. A great platform that profiled young athletes and teams. The glory days of Sports Buzz are back in a newly revamped youth sports show with a wow vibe. Goats like us. Yeah, goats. Greatest of all time. Experience youth excellence in sport, profiling of active athletes and teams, latest news in the world of youth sport, the active voice of school sports, and promoting a healthy lifestyle among the youth. Do not miss out on Goats Like Us. Your front row seat awaits you every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag Goats, greatest of all time. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Ashraf so graciously walked into studio and I virtually just ignored him because I'm like, sometimes you
Why
get
do
into...
you use the word graciously?
Okay, well, you just barged in.
I'm just wondering. I'm trying to understand, was
Also,
my mentality gracious or what? I don't know.
Let me fix you. You're on camera.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
there we
are.
go.
You
Much
see, that was
better.
not gracious.
What's coming up today?
Okay, well, obviously, we will at some stage talk about many of the things going into the 11th hour now of what happens tomorrow. I mean, interesting, some of the people are suggesting that it could even mean negotiations taking place like an hour before. You had the story about settlement on the steps of the court, that type of thing. This could well be the case. But we do speak to the MK party reacting to their Concord turning down their application or interdict to halt Parliament's first sitting. That's what it's turned out overnight, so we speak to them. Then Somadoda Fikeni, professor, doctor, he'll talk about South Africa's geopolitics shift maybe in South Africa's 7th administration. Really interesting one there. And the Road Accident Fund will talk to them about their premise that disproportionately younger people are dying because of road accidents, which is ouch.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
Without having seen the numbers, I can believe that.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
interesting conversation today.
The
and of
national
course,
pulse, yeah.
We're still waiting for that Cape Town verdict from the Cape High Court.
Which one is that? I mean, it's like
the
every day.
the emergency application for Jabulani.
No, I think that's also been turned down. I mean, I think so. It's not even news anymore.
Oh,
or
no.
should it be news? Yeah.
I mean, when I left the house, it was still in court. So
No, I
let's see.
just heard, I think,
Okay.
don't quote me that. I think it's turned down.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a wow.
But this is like a minute by minute, blow by blow account of the post-elections 2024.
Exciting times, and one day we'll say we were there for it all. That's Ashraf Gare is coming through at 3 until 6 with the National Pulse. So let's take a quick one, and then we come back and we find out from the Patoran King Foundation about this new scholarship initiative for tech-savvy youth.
This year, we are celebrating Youth Month under the theme Actively Embracing the Socio-Economic Gains of Our Democracy. As we commemorate the massacre of school children during the Soweto Uprising of 1976, we also celebrate the liberation of our beloved country. Hashtag Freedom30. Hashtag Youth Month. Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
All right, so we are wrapping it up, touching base with the brand lead for ALX Africa, Kuda Mangwe, who is going to tell us about Patoran King's Foundation, which is putting out a scholarship initiative for tech-savvy youth. Good afternoon to you, Kuda. How are you doing today?
Afternoon, Bridget. How you doing? How you living?
I'm great, thank you. I'm great. Talk to us about, firstly, the Patoran King Foundation. Give us some context there.
Yeah, so as we should all know, Patoran King is a big Afrobeat star, and he's also a big enthusiast of what happens to young people on his beloved continent. So he started a foundation that looks to support young Africans in their different endeavors. So it's not just about music. It's, as you can see, this is a collaboration on tech with ALX Africa and different entrepreneurial creative ventures that young Africans would want to pursue. As a person who's been a beneficiary of a lot of support in his come up, he's now just paying it forward, and that's what the foundation mainly does.
Yeah. And of course, from what I know, as you've just alluded, the foundation's it's quite committed to research and advocacy for young Africans. Talk to us about some of the work that the foundation has been involved in through the years.
Yeah, so for me personally, because I work with ALX Africa, and I'm also
Mhm.
in the ALX ecosystem,
Yeah.
or the ALI ecosystem as well. I can only speak to the work that we've done before. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
misrepresent the foundation,
Sure.
but for us as enthusiasts of tech and enthusiasts of young people in Africa, we've worked with the Padaranking Foundation many times before. Prior to this, he worked with a sister brand of ours, the African Leadership University, to provide scholarships for young people to be able to get their education and then go on forward to do more things once they graduate. And now here at ALX Africa, we're a tech career accelerator. We give a lot of young people opportunity and access to tech skills. Pato has come and offered to take on as many young people as he can as possible to then, after getting them through our courses, then also find an internship, a paid internship with a top tech company around there so that they can put their skills to use.
Let's hone in a little bit more on that. As you say, you guys at ALX are concerned with the world of tech. You're a tech career accelerator. So let's look at this particular partnership that you have going on now. And what does that look like, by way of its the development element of it, as well as the innovative element of it, and the kind of candidates that are suitable for it?
Right. So, I mean, this is the perfect marriage between career skill provider and a group that has got access to opportunities for these skills to be put to use. So, Padaranking Foundation approached us to say that, look, they've got these opportunities that they've lined up for worthy young Africans who've got the right skills. Our missions merge in many places. And so, us being skills providers, we are going to train up the young people who are then eventually going to take advantage of the internships that the Padaranking Foundation has got in line. So, the way that we are collaborating is what a young person, and as you asked, what is a person who's worthy of this is, they just have to be between the ages of 18 and 35, of African origin, and have access to steady internet and a computer, or a very, very awesome smartphone. You can then apply to any tech course on alxafrica.com, tech course, because we've got other courses that are non-technical.
Okay.
And once you get into those courses, you then have the opportunity to apply to the foundation scholarship. So if you apply to ALX Africa, you get into a tech course, you can then apply to the Padaranking Foundation scholarship. And should you be fortunate in both, you'll then be able to then reap the benefits of what Padaranking has organized for your young self.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk about applications, right, a lot of our young listeners who then are keen on these kinds of opportunities, and I know there'll probably be more detail online, but just by way of a rundown as to what is to be expected from an application, am I sending through a motivation? Am I responding to a series of Q&As? What does that application process kind of read as?
Awesome. So as I mentioned, there's two application processes at hand. So for the ALX Africa component, we have a 10-step application process, and it tests a number of aptitude and skills that are required for you to take on the given course that you'll be going into. It's a pretty standard test. It shouldn't take you longer than 3 hours. Because it is intense in some parts, but for the most part, it's just literally trying to ensure that you are capable and able to go through the course relatively easy. So that's the ALX side. When it goes to the Padaranking side now, we are in the business of not just looking for the people with the skills that's been covered by ALX Africa, but we want a story to match.
Yeah.
We want to be able to know that the people who are coming through the Padaranking Foundation are people who've got something big on the horizon, something that they're looking just for that right push to be able to ignite. So the application has got a 3-step process. One is to put a very nice high-res photo. Please, high-res photos, ladies and gentlemen. It is 224. Please, can we have a high-res photo? And then a motivational statement for why you think you are capable of changing your community given the right opportunity. And then lastly, a video that supports the motivational statement. Because we are looking to see two things. There's some people who are great at writing, but they're very shy when they're not time to talk, and the opposite also is true. So we want to be able to see these beautiful stories coming out of people who have a passion for changing their community, right, and have a hunger to get that opportunity.
Absolutely. And of course, it sounds like a great opportunity for young people on the continent, but the spaces are limited. So it means that the creme de la creme are going to rise to the top of this application process, because literally you can only take in a cohort of 40.
Yeah, there are only 40 scholarships that are available for this first collaboration between ALX and the Pataranking Foundation. If this is successful, of course, in the future there'll be more. But for the first run, we're going to have 40. And the thing is, there are 40 who will be able to get the scholarship to be able to participate in the internship and the scholarship that's there, but it doesn't actually limit the people who can still go on and get the tech skills. So ALX Africa is not limiting the number of people who can get in. It's just that those who can then take benefit or take advantage of the Pataranking side of things will just be 40 for this first round.
Yeah. And of course, that scholarship value is sitting at around $500,000 for this particular initiative, the partnership between the ALX and, of course, the Pataranking Foundation. And already, as I cast my eyes, and I think perhaps you must reiterate, or maybe let's even see what else is on the ALX offering there. As I cast my eyes, I'm seeing WhatsApps from, I'm presuming, our younger listeners, because we have quite the huge number of them saying, well, how much is the course? So we have the scholarship on the one end, and then how much is the course?
Right. So it's not the course.
Yeah.
It's the courses. So we have 5 courses that the young people can take advantage of to be a part of this Pataranking collaboration. We have got data analytics. We've got front-end web development. We've got back-end web development. We've got Salesforce administration, and we've got AWS cloud computing. Those have an admin fee that are attached to them, no more than $150. Apologies, I don't know how to translate that into rand.
Don't stress.
I could probably do that very. Very quickly for you in the background while I'm explaining. But they can then take on those are the costs of those. It's 2,750 rand. Sorry, just had to do the math for you. So 2,750 rand as an admin fee. But if you're a recipient of the scholarship, that fee will be waived and covered by the Pataranking Foundation. But if you're talking about how much would it be to do the course, that's how much it would be.
Let's also talk just as we wrap it up. And by the way, Kuda, I'm of the belief that if you are interested in an opportunity, and Kuda comes on here and he tells you that, if you take part in the course outside of the scholarship, it's going to be 150 USD. It already shows your dedication for me if you quickly open up your phone and do the calculation for yourself, and don't wait for Kuda and Bridget to spoon feed you what is that times 20. So
nice.
Let's talk a little bit about in terms of, so we know that the different courses that are being offered, and I counted about 5 category of courses, the duration of the respective courses. And do you take one module? Can you take one module and decide, actually, okay, I'm cool with this one, data analytics, I'll take it and I'll get out there and take my chances in the big wide world? Or do they come as a collect 5 package? You have to take from course 1 to course 5.
Nah. So at ALX we have a mantra, which is do hard things. And the reason why is because the harder it is for you to do something, the better that you become. You become stronger by going through certain levels of adversity. So our courses are quite intense. And we don't recommend that people do them 2 at a time. In fact, you actually can't. You can only do them 1 at a time. And at the same time, it's literally about you thinking about the purpose of the skill that you're looking for and how it plays off in the bigger picture for yourself. So a person who's got a data analytics course may not even want to do anything in software engineering, which is the front end and back end. Someone who's got, skills in cloud computing might not need to necessarily do anything else in our course range. So the best way to answer that question is, what are you looking to do with the skills that you'll be applying for? You don't need them all. You only need the one that you want. If you want to do more, you're welcome to do more, but you can only do them one at a time. But really, it is about, have you thought about your future and what skills you need for you to be able to succeed?
Got you. Kudamangwe, we appreciate the time. Kudamangwe is the brand lead at ALX Africa. There you go, an opportunity for you. If you were listening to us and you tick the categories of youthfulness, you can log on to ALX and find out more about this partnership with the Pedro Ranking Foundation, offering a scholarship initiative to the tune of $500,000 to 40 recipients. But of course, as you heard, the courses are also readily available for you outside of the scholarship on ALX, and you can decide what it is you desire for yourself in your future and what kind of skills development you require, and pick your respective course accordingly. We wrap it up and we leave it here this afternoon. Ashraf and his team are standing by to take over between 3 and 6. There's so much still to come on the news cycle. No doubt a lot of people keeping keen eyes, on the events that are unfolding in Cape Town right now, as almost all the political stakeholders have now descended onto the mother city, and last-minute conversations and negotiations are still underway, with updates still happening. I know that the IFP updated, was it yesterday? And I think the MK also updated yesterday. The EFF is getting set to update again at 6 p.m. And ultimately, I guess once everyone's done with their respective updates at some point, then the ANC is going to let us know which way they are moving and with whom they are moving ahead of tomorrow's swearing in of all of those MPs. From myself and my team, we thank you so much for always choosing to be in conversation with us. We don't take it lightly indeed. We appreciate it. You could have been anywhere and you chose to be here. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
This year, we are celebrating Youth Month under the theme Actively Embracing the Socio-Economic Gains of Our Democracy. As we commemorate the massacre of school children during the Soweto Uprising of 1976, we also celebrate the liberation of our beloved country. #Freedom30. #Youth Month.
The top stories at 3 o'clock. Another legal setback for MK Party founder and the DA serious about stabilizing eThekwini. A very good afternoon. The Western Cape High Court has struck the urgent application by MK Party founder Jabulani Khumalo off the roll. This was Khumalo's last-ditch effort to be reinstated on the party list and to be sworn in as an MK parliamentarian tomorrow. This in a series of legal blows for the founder of the country's third largest party. Earlier this week, the Electoral Court also dismissed his application to be reinstated as the leader of the party. Analysts say it is important for political parties to put aside their ideological differences and agree on what the developmental agenda is going to be over the course of the next 5 years. This as political parties are racing against time to form coalitions ahead of the first sitting of Parliament and provincial legislatures tomorrow. The ANC has proposed for a government of national unity after it failed to garner an outright majority. Political analyst Professor Jolene Steyn-Kotze says the IFP's ideological policy can bring those diverse positions together.
You are looking at quite an ideologically diverse role, ranging from in the ANC's manifestos to your more liberal economic viewpoints that the DA holds to your more socialist that we find in the EFF. What is interesting is in this mix, however, the ideological policy positions the IFP proposes within its manifestos can actually act as a unifying force to try and bring those diverse positions and diverse views together.
The DA in KZN says it is willing to work with any political party that is serious about restoring stability to eThekwini. The provincial legislature will hold its first sitting of the 7th administration tomorrow, when MPLs will elect the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker and the Premier. The Mayor of the Umgeni municipality, Chris Papas, says the DA will work with the incoming provincial government to ensure that the municipality formulates a plan on how to deliver basic services, especially water.
What is important for me is what we campaigned on, and those were our 7 pledges. So if those can resonate in a new government, then we will support that. And obviously, whether we are part of that government in the executive or in positions in the legislature, our role in ensuring